Hey, Jay.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm hoping you don't sing.
I'm thinking about singing. Oh, it's too late. I already sang.
I know. It's early, so I'm like, please don't sing.
I could sing It's a Beautiful Morning.
Okay.
Ooh. Okay, I'm going to stop because this is not the voice, although we do
You
love
lost.
the voice.
You
But
lost.
I think we've got an amazing guest today. And Jay, we have a boy.
I know. You want me to do my voice? It's
Yes.
a boy.
I love when we have men caregivers on because they're really, I think people don't think of males as caregivers. And every time we have a male on, I feel like that's a win for the 40% of male caregivers out, especially just in the US, who are providing care. And I think these stories are super important because it's a different perspective, such a different perspective, a different experience. And I'm super excited. And we have a really awesome guest. And I want you to tell everybody about him.
Okay. And I'm going to keep it short. That way I don't tell the whole story now. Like
you always tell the whole story.
I know. Okay, guys. Today, I would like to say that we are absolutely honored to have Ed DeVaney with us. He has an immense number of professional accomplishments. I'll say that out, especially leading an organization that means so much to these sisters. So it's really no surprise that he also has a caregiving story. His mother was diagnosed and lived with both Alzheimer's and dementia for years, and his father couldn't take care of her in the ways that she really needed. But that put her in the care of Ed and his sisters. Yes, sisters.
Oh, he's got sisters.
Yeah, I know. With a career and a family of his own, obviously that just shows that caregiving does not wait. Ed, we are so honored to have you here with us. Thank you so much.
Yay!
Natalie and JJ, it's nice to see you. I don't think we've seen each other since New Orleans, correct?
That's
it's
right.
been a minute. I feel like people are like, ooh, and then what happened? Don't worry, everybody. We were working hard. So
that's true.
But New Orleans was nice. It was a little chilly. Ed, we're super happy to have you on the show. And I think where we want to start is where I always start is we want everyone to know about you. So we always start off with saying, tell us a little bit about your background. And I love to say, start from the beginning. You were born. And then tell us about family life and that sort of thing. Walk us up to care.
So I appreciate the opportunity to join you. And just reflecting back, we're all born in Chicago. I am, to your point, is raised with a mother and father, two older sisters. So I'm number 3 in the birth order.
Oh, he's the baby.
I'm yeah. And I would characterize our growing up as everything was about competition. In the family, it was all about competing. It was every night playing different board games, card games. We were all very active in sports and competing. And it was really our mom that pushed us that route.
I love that.
And, while I actually got relocated, 2010 to Charlotte, North Carolina, shortly after that is really where my mom was diagnosed with dementia and Alzheimer's. So it was... I want to be very clear up front. My sisters carried most of this burden. I played a role in it, but they as the two sisters, they really carried the majority of the daily taxing, I would say, it had on our collective lives.
Yeah. I love when, I also jump in and say that. I love when siblings, though, are able to give credit to the other because we're able to do that with Emily. A lot of times families like, I did this part and I did this part. But when you're able to say that, my sisters carried a big part. You don't know how much that means to the other sisters, the other siblings, is to get credit for that, Ed. So
I think so.
That. Kudos for that.
I have a question because I'm going to back you up a little bit because I need to know a little bit more. So you were raised, what's the age difference with you and your siblings?
So I was born 1975.
Oh, clearly the best year ever. Me too.
Yeah. And Kelly is 3 years older than me, and Mary Kate is 4 years older than me.
Okay. So it's similar to us. We're all 2 years apart. So we support that. And so you had normal childhood. I love that you were competitive. I think that's super fun. It sounds like close-knit family, and went to college. I'm assuming met wife, because I know you have also 2 girls and a boy. So tell us a little bit, like you got married. Tell us a little bit about work your way up to it, because you can't leave out the juicy part.
So I would say I graduated college, moved downtown Chicago, happened to be at a party with some of my friends that I knew in college that was up in Milwaukee. I happened to meet my wife, who was dating someone else at that point.
Oh, that's okay.
I consistently asked her out. She consistently shot me down.
Oh, that's awesome.
We like her.
We like her already.
And eventually I wore her down for, she said yes. And gosh, in '05 we finally married.
Oh, I love
20
that. I
years.
love
I love that.
persistence.
I know. Yeah.
So then children come along because you're working at this time, right? You've got your job, you all have life going on. You've got you're saying now, are your siblings all in Chicago too still? Did everybody stay in Chicago until you got moved? I know you said you got moved 15 years ago to North Carolina.
A big Irish Catholic family. Everyone still lives in Chicago and still has no idea how I could ever have taken a job outside of not only the city, but the state.
Oh, I knew you were Irish Catholic. I just felt it because of Chicago, but you do there's only three of you. So I don't want to talk to your parents about that, but I'm not your traditional. We met up with Trisha the other day and recorded hers, and she was a good Irish Catholic family, and they were 6. So
it's interesting because if you think of the theme of what you're doing is my mother was a caregiver for her mother.
Oh, yeah.
Her father had issues with alcohol and he died very young, which then meant her and her siblings all had to go out and get jobs much younger, get their degrees along the way while working full time so they could pay the mortgage.
Yeah, we see so many families like that, just depending on backgrounds. And there's just a trend, family culture on families that will step in versus families that don't think that's a responsibility. And it's a big cultural thing a lot of times. So
this is 100% factual. Every single day when we were little, we saw our family. We saw our grandmas. We saw our aunts, our uncles, our cousins every single day.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
That was ingrained in us.
Yeah.
And I think that speaks a lot. And I think honestly, and we've talked about this in the past, as our society continues to advance, we at times with technology, we think this is great. We're talking to you, you're in another city and JJ's in a different city and I'm in a different city. And technology has the ability to bring us together, but it also has the ability to pull us apart. And I love that you all were the same way as we were growing up. We had 11 cousins every Sunday. We all went to the same church. We all went and played after. We ate dinner after on Sunday. I can even tell you it was roast and mashed potatoes. It was always consistent. And so there's something to be said for that. And so it sounds like care was modeled for you growing up by not only just your mom and helping to support her parent, but also her siblings. And so everybody just sounds like it was a part of it.
100% was.
So you have you and your wife, Michelle. I love Michelle already. I love Michelle already because she played hard to get. She was like, "You're cute." No.
It was competitive thing. I think
it is a competitive thing. Honestly, I love that. He was like, "I wouldn't let that one go." And I clearly, good choice, my friend. But then you start having kids and you're advancing in your career and that sort of thing. So I know is Grace the oldest?
She is the oldest. We just dropped her off at University of Tennessee.
Oh, we're all false.
Yeah, we're not going to scream and yell.
I'm singing in my head. Dun, dun, dun. I'm sorry. I'm just singing the song.
Rocky Top.
Okay. I know we could sing Rocky Top. But so at what point does care come in? Because you've got a good job, you're advancing in your career, but at what point does care start coming in your life? About how old were you, if you don't mind me asking?
I think it's a great question. And I think to fully understand at least my story on this, you have to go back just a little bit further. So
go ahead.
My wife and I got married in '05, which is the exact year that I joined. So I joined Caremark, CVS Caremark in August of 2005. Okay. My wife and I got married October of '05. So my wife has been with the CVS Caremark journey the entire way. In 2010, I was asked to really take the first big step in my career, which was becoming a director, running the East Coast for some employer customers. And that was really a fork in the road for us, is to exactly how you all grew up. We were a tight-knit family. No one lived more than a 10-minute car ride away from each other. And for me to pick up and leave for North Carolina to pursue something professionally was unheard of. If you think about growing up in my family, most aren't doing white-collar jobs. I thought my professional track growing up was Chicago policeman, a fireman, electrician, carpenter. That was always my path. So for me to go outside of the traditional path and for me to leave Chicago was a big deal. And it's interesting, I only bring that up because I probably would have said no to it if it wasn't for my mom.
Wow.
And it was her that said, no, you have to go chase. That's your job. By 2010, we had already had 2 kids, and her view was, you can't be this to our family. You have to be someone different for your family. And this is one of the steps you have to take.
Oh, I love that.
What did your mom do? Was she a stay-at-home mom, or what did she do? What kind of drove that competitiveness or that success in her? What was weird?
She was a stay-at-home mom for our life growing up. So we were around her breakfast, lunch, dinner every single day.
Okay.
But I think my father graduated from Kellogg, Northwestern.
Okay.
He was extremely smart.
Yeah.
But my mom was the smartest of the two. And she also was the one that had the drive, the push. Yeah. I would say my dad was a silent role model. My mom was a very vocal, and she had very strong opinions.
Okay.
I like her.
Like our family. I like that, Nellie.
No.
And you didn't cross her.
Yeah, I get my directness honest, is what I'll say. I'm just like my mom.
Which is good and bad. I'm not sure. I don't ask her for an honest opinion. I'm just like mom. I don't want to, if I don't want to know, don't ask Natalie or my mom.
Natalie, to your point. So I went this weekend, I flew into Chicago. I took my son to the Cub game, but we spent a lot of time with my sister, my nieces, and my sister, the middle child, has 100% turned into my mother.
She's yellow mustard, man. The oldest is always Grey Poupon. The middle is always yellow mustard. You're going to be like, yeah, Natalie and my sister need to get together. We know we've been sliding. And then but you're the baby. And we always joke with Emily, like she was the baby angel. She never did anything wrong. And with you being a boy, I mean, that really ups the A game.
Yeah.
I'm sure your dad loved that. Our dad wanted boys, but he couldn't even get boy dogs. And so then you moved to North Carolina. And I think it's important. I'm glad that you qualified like the relationship that you had with your mom between you and your siblings and that, because I think it really does lean into people being like, whoa, I can't believe you did that to help. And so as we keep further along in the story, and so I'm actually going to take a pause right now because I feel like it's a natural break, Jay, because I want to go into care when we come back.
Yeah,
we'll be right back. I don't know about you, but my inbox is always cluttered with useless emails. But there's one I always open, the Confessions of a Reluctant Caregiver newsletter. You may say, Natalie, what makes yours so special? Well, I'm biased, but don't just take my word for it. Here's what our subscribers say they love. First, it comes once per month, and you can read it in under 5 minutes. Next, you'll find amazing tips and resources to use in your everyday life. And who doesn't love a recommendation? These sisters do, which is why we share sister-approved products and discount links to save you time and money. And of course, you're first to know about the upcoming month's confessions. Just like our show, you're guaranteed to relate, be inspired, leave with helpful tips and resources, and of course, laugh. Go to our website, confessionsofareluctantcaregiver.com, to sign up for our newsletter today.
All right, everybody, we are back with Ed DeVaney. We've gotten to this point where he leaves the homeland, Chicago, and he goes to the South. I'm not sure. That's kind of questionable. He goes to the South.
Oh, he goes to the South.
He goes to North Carolina. And so at what point you're here, you're in the South, you got this fantastic promotion, you're growing in this career. When does care come along? What is this journey that you're on? What are the next steps?
It coincided with the exact time I entered into pursuing my MBA from Wake Forest.
Okay.
So I was working full time. I had actually accepted a couple promotions along that way. This is now, I believe, 2015.
Okay.
And that's when we got the feedback that she actually went in for a surgery. And when she came out of the surgery, she was never the same. And she would forget little things along the way, but when she came out of that surgery, we still don't fully understand why, is she went from maybe on a scale of 1 to 10 having some signs of dementia to jumping from 1 to 6, and it happened overnight, which was a little bit, for our view, very unexpected. And that created mass changes, not only for my parents, my sisters, but for me as well.
Yeah.
So let's jump into that. What you see something's going on with your mom. Was this like a routine surgery or was there concern? Because I know at that point, because you're the same age as me, although I'll say I'm December 30th. So unless you're December 30th, I get to make you a teeny bit older. But I'm getting ready to turn 50 this year. So you're 40, if you really think about it. You're 40 years old. You're going to be defined in this case as a sandwich generation caregiver. Your sisters may fall in the same kind of field where you've got children and
Exactly.
you start looking at what your parents look at and what's going on with them. Your mom goes into surgery and comes out and things feel different. What is the conversation between you and the siblings and then you and the entire family unit? Because this is what a lot of times does not happen, is the conversations.
We had a lot of conversation. I would say there was a lot of friction in the conversation because we all had independent thoughts of what was best for our mom.
Yeah.
So we proceeded with, all right, let's see if dad can do this.
Okay.
And we would give dad, my father, a list of things he would have to do. And then we would show up. And every day, my sisters would be there. Every weekend or every other weekend, I would be there. And you'd ask, hey, did mom eat breakfast today? I don't know. Heck, dad, you need to do this stuff. And we chased that down, and there was a lot of frustration, I would say, over the years, especially my oldest sister with my father.
Mm-hmm.
She had a lot of frustration. She's the type A out of the entire family. I don't know, JJ, if that resonates or not.
Yeah.
Oh, she's always in charge. I don't know if you know this, Ed. Even though I'm the loudest, she's always in charge. And so I don't know if your sister's always in charge. If you're just like, because we fall, it's funny how sibling dynamics are. And if you want to hit on that for a sec too, because Emily and I, our parents were younger when they married, and they had us, mom was 19, 21, 23.
Oh, wow.
And so they were, our mom's only 71, for example. She just turned 71. But JJ was always in charge of us because my parents both worked. We were definitely a blue collar family. My mom worked for the government. Our dad worked for the government. But we just naturally fall in that. And we fell into those same kind of structure into adults because JJ is the primary preferred of our mom as a caregiver. And is your oldest sister the primary between the three of you? Because there's definitely differences between primaries versus who's really taking the lead.
So she's going to kill me for saying this, but she always wanted to be the lead. And she would make herself be the lead.
Okay.
And Kelly and I, the middle, and me would be like, all right, here, just let her go, and we'll fill in the holes.
Okay, when I get stressed out and I'm griping about being the lead, Natalie and Emily are undermining. Like they're doing their thing. They're like, let her go. She's got the guilt martyr cape on.
Do you all have?
That's true.
It is true. And she won't let anybody help at times. And I will say this. So do you all have side text groups where you and Kelly will have a conversation about your older sister and then you and your older sister? Because we totally do that.
It's not a family unless you do it.
That's exactly right. Thank you. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. There's nothing better than it's almost like a game of Survivor in making decision making. Like, hey, did you know that JJ wants to do this, Emily? And Emily's like, think about this. And I'm like, ooh. Let's do, and then JJ and I'll be like, oh, Jay, what do you think about this? So
look at that, Jay. They're making it your idea.
Oh, yeah. Totally. I know they're playing me. Okay. But it's also the same with our mom. I'll throw that out there. Oh. She plays all of us, Ed. She will message me and say something. Then she'll message Natalie and say something different. And I'm like, did mom message you this? She was like, she's
911.
She's playing you, JJ. You're being guilty. So
our mom did the exact same thing.
Oh, nice.
That is fantastic. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, I like that. So she knew who to call when she needed something.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how old are your parents? I'm just curious because you said your dad there are some roles that he's kind of like, I don't know if she ate breakfast or not. How old are your parents at that time?
My mom was born, I had it up on the screen ahead of me. She was born in 1938.
Okay. All right.
March 25th of 1938. March 25th, that's why her name is Mary, 9 months before Jesus was born.
Oh, wow. I love that. I love that. Yeah. So dad's not able to keep up as much conversations that are going on. So what are interventions at that point are you guys thinking that you're going to have to do if you think, hey, I'm not sure that this is his strength area? And I can imagine that being hard because he's the head of the household. Yep. He's traditional. Like I'm sure you all are traditional. We were traditional.
Very traditional.
So
I would say that's where friction hit.
Yeah.
And it was, I guess I didn't realize that during the time, but there was a lot of friction. It was, look, we grew up with a mom that always said, never want to be in a home.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't tell you how many times as a kid I committed to that.
I know.
And so I would stay in my sisters the same way, they committed to it. And now all of a sudden we're in the situation of saying, oh my God, like, how do we break the promise we gave to her? So we did everything possible, right? So we got a live-in nanny. And, my mom could be abrasive. So we went through a churn of caregivers that lived in the house. And all along this way was we wanted our father to play that nurturing role.
Yeah.
But the reality was, I knew it early. He just didn't have it.
Yeah.
That's not who he was. Just to give you background on him, because I feel like I'm selling him short.
Yeah.
He grew up, his parents were immigrants from Ireland.
Yeah.
He grew up with nothing. They worked blue collar jobs. And when he was young, they would give him a quarter and say, hey, go ride the Chicago bus line all day. He just didn't grow up with that nurturing side. And I knew he didn't have it. And we were at this point where I think me and my middle sister connecting the dots here, we would text each other and be like, Dad just doesn't have this. This is an uphill battle. We're going to lose it. I would say my oldest sister kept fighting it and saying, you need to do this. You need to do that. And she, for lack of a better word, she was a bulldog on it.
Yeah.
And that led to tension with her and my father. And we went through this process. Eventually, my father died prior to my mother. And at that point, my mom's dementia and Alzheimer's was bad. To give you perspective, she had no idea who I was. She had no idea who my kids were. Me being out of town, only there 1 or 2 days a week, she would remember stories about a baseball game I played in when I was 8 years old, but she couldn't remember a conversation I had with her 3 minutes prior to that. So it created a dynamic of we had to bite the bullet. We had to do what we promised we would never do. And gosh, this is almost like a psychiatry session. I never thought about it, but it was honestly, reflecting back, it was probably one of the hardest things I ever did.
We would agree with you. Our mom was the first in our family, either side, to ever go into skilled nursing. And the feelings that come along with that, there's guilt. JJ's in charge of carrying all the guilt for the family. She carries that for everybody, but there's guilt because it doesn't make care any less. And so you mentioned I'd see my mom once or twice, 2 days a week. But you're seeing her not virtually, you're going back and forth. So how did you and your siblings say, we're going to support Dad, and this is what the schedule is going to be? Like, oldest sister takes these tasks, middle sister does this, I do this piece. Like, how did you all navigate that out? And what did that look like? Because you flew back and forth. That's what caught me about your attention. You were going back and forth. Was it every week to almost?
Yeah. Almost every week I would fly into Chicago. The good thing is in my job, I travel extensively. So I had racked up airline points where
Gotta love that.
I could do it. So yeah, I think the way we set it up was Mary Kate and Kelly, they would own the week and I would own the weekends. Wow. Now the detriment was at this point, 2015, I had an 8-year-old daughter, I had a 6-year-old daughter, and I had a son that was just born. Wow. So you talked about the burden, I think, and I'm sorry, someone is calling me on a cell phone.
It's okay.
Is the burden this put on my wife and my family was a really big deal. And I know my sisters feel the exact same way. They missed sporting events. They missed activities at school, the normal stuff your parents do. When you step into a caregiver role, that is a priority. And that then results in you missing a lot of things that I kind of look back on it. I don't regret it, but I am sad I missed a lot of things.
Yeah. And I think your position in itself required you to travel a lot. So there's always the normal guilt that comes with that. I've traveled a lot with positions I've been in where I travel out of state as well. But I didn't have children. And so it's one thing, I think it's one thing to miss your spouse and what that impact of that travel and care has on that relationship, but it's also another, the impact that it has on your children as well. And so what conversation did you and your wife have about this? Did she get at some point like, buddy, it's tired over here. I's tired. I would love to see you on the weekend. Because you're saying every weekend. That's a lot. Think about it.
My classes at Wake Forest were Mondays and Wednesday nights. There you go, JJ. That's your call out for Winston-Salem.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, but that executive MBA program, I totally understand. So that's a commitment in itself.
I would fly out almost every Monday night after. I'd fly back into Charlotte. I wouldn't even see my family. I would go to class on Wednesday. I'd fly back out. I'd get home on Friday, and I would have one night with my wife, one night with my kids. And then Saturday morning, first thing I would fly out. to be there for the weekend and fly back Sunday night, have dinner with the family, and then it was a rinse and repeat, the exact same thing week in and week out.
How are you physically? Because this, for me, just listening to you is
I'm exhausted. Like I'm exhausted for you right now.
What? Because I'm wondering, first of all, is work, oh, you've shared this and everybody's, okay, Ed, you can back off a little bit. We know that you're having a hard time, first of all, take a break. But how are you taking care of yourself?
I'll look at it this way. I never told anyone I was really doing this stuff. So anyone I worked with had no idea. My friends had no idea. But it was also the time I actually in my life started getting very healthy.
Okay.
That was the point in time. It was after I finished my MBA that I said, I don't want to wake up at 5 a.m., but I'm going to go to the gym every day at 5 a.m. And to this day, now I'm not 6 days a week like I was initially, but I'm still 4 or 5. And that is just something that if you I look at how my parents retired, what should have been their best years, and them physically not taking care of themselves, they are what I don't want to be.
Yeah.
And that is the drive I have every single day when I wake up.
You think that gave you a little bit of control too? That was one thing you could control? I can go to the gym.
I never thought of it that way, but you're probably right.
I can control my food. That is a couple of different things.
Yeah.
Especially in a time that feels, I'm going to tell you, I mean, in the times that feel so chaotic, when Jason and I were in New York for his treatments, there were things that I had to do that was like, I can do this thing. I can control this, because there's these times when you have no control. And I can imagine going and seeing the toll that it takes on you emotionally to visit your mom for those 2 days, her not to really recognize you, and how to navigate through that. And then all the other things, navigating the relationships with your sisters, and how do we do this? And what's this? I will say that when we had to finally make the decision and have that conversation with mom about going into skilled nursing, we agree. It's the hardest decision you ever have to make, because that's not what you do. That's not what everybody wants you to do. But
how did you guys make that decision? I'm curious, because we fought. My sisters and I fought about this. Did you guys fight, or was it a logical conversation?
It was, and you mentioned it, and I actually, every time I tear up, we're like, Kleenex, you can sponsor us. I tear up when we talk about it still, and it's been years, Ed, because we promised we would never do it. And for me, I feel like I failed my dad, because it was my responsibility to take care of her. We went in, Emily was taking care of her 24/7, basically. We had tried that for 7 months, and we realized that we could not take care of the needs that she had.
And there just wasn't enough people. There was human capital to be able to do it, and the system had worked against us.
Yeah.
That's right.
And she needed more care, and we were failing her, and we had to have that discussion with her. And but it's still today. She always asks me when I talk to her, do you think maybe I could go out and live in assisted living, or I could come out again? And we can't care for her. But every day, it's still hard, Ed. And it is, we finally, though, and we have a system.
You're going to make me cry.
I'm sorry. We have a system where, although we may disagree about something, when a decision is made, we go along, we make the decision, and we follow through with it. We can't argue about it.
The skilled nursing wasn't actually the argument. It was our mom had been in assisted living, and she'd had 3 failed placements because they felt like they couldn't meet her needs, otherwise known as she had showed her rear. And so she was also a touch difficult. I get it, honest. And Emily quit her job, moved from Indiana, and moved back home to care for our mom. And so we pulled her back out. And the reason we did that, though, and then again, this is why we have such a great relationship with you guys, is because mom was able to get a Duopa pump. But it was only able to be given to her if she was in the home or in a skilled nursing. So she couldn't have this magic pump in assisted living by regulation, and stupid regulation, because I'm like, anybody can flush out the device. But Emily quit her job, which is not uncommon for caregivers, and moved in with our mom, but then we didn't have the support. I'm the one who fought against it and said, this is a bad idea. Turn around, don't drown. But ultimately, JJ and Emily ganged up against me, and they said, this is what we think we want to do, and you have to let Emily try. And the answer was, okay. And there is no, I told you, because there is no win. Like, you don't want them to fail. Being right means that somebody fails. So when you guys who was the one who felt like the holdout? And the question would have been for me, are you moving mom in with you?
We had these conversations. I would say we did everything possible to avoid breaking the promise that we all made to her.
Yeah.
And this is young. Like, we were like, she would tell me, Eddie, like 6 years old, if something ever happens to me, I'm not going. Like, promise me. Because she had seen it with some of her aunts and uncles. Yeah. So we thought about it. I mean, my wife is fantastic, right? It's the fact that she let me do this. She even allowed me to even offer as an option for her to come live with us.
Wow.
But that didn't work out. It's big family, Chicago. She's not leaving Chicago. That's off the table. You're coming to us. Yeah. You guys probably understand how that dynamic works out as well.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So I would say we exhausted every option, living with my sisters, living in we knew none of it would work. And we probably should have made that decision 6 to 9 months earlier. But really the impetus was, we grew up in a split level, 1,100 square foot home, we were worried she would fall and break her hip.
Oh, yeah.
And in my head, as soon as you're pushing close to 80 and you break your hip, that's not a good spot to be.
That's right.
So that was when we collectively said, we have to do it.
So we're over our time of our break because I'm like, this is what happens. I'm like, oh, so we're going to take a break, Jay, and we're going to come right back.
All right.
Okay.
CareForward is a technology platform that connects volunteers with seniors, the disabled, and those with chronic or complex health conditions, offering support like transportation, home visits, and more. Details online at careforward.io.
All right, everybody, we are back here with Ed DeVaney, and we've gotten into some tough topics, and one of them, of course, is making that decision to put that loved one in a skilled nursing facility, and you guys all know that's a tough topic for me. Ed, from there, what happens? I know that your mom is in really advanced Alzheimer's and dementia. Where does life go from there? What ultimately occurs?
My sisters visited her still every day. At that point, I probably wasn't flying in every weekend. It was probably every other weekend. And I would make a point to go see her. And look, you're having conversations with someone who has no idea who you are.
I know.
Which makes it hard. But there was glimmers of she would say things. And I would sit there and I would just laugh. I'm like, that's who she is.
Yeah. You still see parts of her. Yeah. Did you mentioned, and I think let's get into some, I don't think it's a male stereotype, but I think it happens more with males than females because we're awfully chatty. You mentioned that you didn't really tell your friends about this. You didn't talk to your friends. I know you talked to your wife. I know your kids saw this going on, but this feels very close, very kept tight, close to you, because this is, in the end, it's always personal. And for me, I didn't even talk to people about Jason having cancer, except for a small select group of people, considering what I do from a business development standpoint, like 100 of my closest friends. But it was not put out there for the world to see because it made me feel very vulnerable. It made me feel like open up for scrutiny of, am I making the right decisions with him? That sort of thing. Who did you talk to at this point? Did you talk to your friends about it? Did you talk more at work about it? Because you've been going through this for a while now.
I didn't talk to anyone. Look, the way we were raised was you put one foot in front of the other and you go. And no matter what, it was funny, in advance of this, I actually pulled up the eulogy I wrote for my mom's funeral. I think a lot of the way I behaved, and I didn't really recognize it until I reflected back on the eulogy, it was all about quit your boo-hooing. I'll give you a story. My sophomore year of high school, one of my good friends committed suicide. I kid you not, 24 hours later, my mom is in my ear saying, look, life is for the living, you have to move on. That was the way she instilled, and it was quit your boo-hooing, life is here, whether you are prepared for it or not, and you need to go. The more you think about this stuff, the more you absorb it, the worse off you're going to be, so just go. Now, I don't think the way I handled it was right.
Yeah.
I probably should have talked to people. My wife was really the only one I ever had a conversation with.
Yeah.
And if people in work would ask me, I would do my damnedest to make that a very short conversation and move on to something else.
Yeah.
I think that's important. I think because my experience, especially as an executive, had just been named CEO of a behavioral health company. Jason was diagnosed on February 14th, and actually March the 4th, it was confirmed.
On Valentine's Day?
Oh yeah, nothing says Happy Valentine's Day. Hey, we think
wow.
You don't forget, by the way. And then I was named CEO on April 1st, which seemed appropriate as well because that's April Fool's Day. And I thought I could do it all. If I'm really honest about it, I thought I'd do it all. And my backgrounds, people were like, "Oh, your background's so cool." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's real. It's the background that's the Chrysler building right behind me." And because I'm on the 15th floor and Jason's getting an infusion. And so
wow.
I think about those kinds of things. And so my question to you is and I'm going to tell you, I quit my job 6 months after we got back. I was different.
Really?
Yes, I did. Like most people would be like, "I can't believe you quit your job. You've worked to this pinnacle. You wanted to be CEO." I planned on being I planned on retiring from Intercept, and I was so different. And so for me, it changed the complete trajectory of my life. But I also tried to take my lived experience and apply that into the workplace because I knew my privilege. I knew not many people move to New York City and live in Midtown so you can get treatment at the number one place in the world, basically, which is Memorial Sloan Kettering for head and neck cancer.
I just met with them.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you, they are amazing. But there is something, but I knew that I had to do something different for my employees. And I had an owner, respectfully to him, who we weren't aligned any longer. And my experience, I felt like I needed to take that experience and do something with it, which clearly means it's time for your favorite sister
because
question.
I have all these questions.
It's appropriate that
I don't know what's coming up.
Sister questions because you've got two sisters and you're like, "Oh God."
We called your sisters in advance.
So I'm going to show my Wake Forest.
Oh, I like that.
Thank you. So I have actually two questions. I'll try to be good, and they are good. They're not bad. Have you had a discussion with your own children? Have you placed any type of obligations on them? Or what are your thoughts about yours and your wife's life as you get older?
It's interesting. The conversations I'm having with my daughters now, just going back is I just dropped her off 2 weeks ago at Knoxville.
Yeah.
And the conversations I'm having with her are really almost apologetic. That, look, I know I missed a lot of your life. And that's work. That's what I had to do for my family back in Chicago. And my goal in life is to be really active when you have kids. I want to be front and center. I don't care what it takes. I'm going to be there. Whether I'm going to you, you're coming to me. And my wife and I are already talking about what's next in our life. Do we keep this house? Do we buy a farm and have ATVs and horses to get our grandkids to come in?
You're super coming down there. You're your honorary sisters. You have no clue. We're like, "Oh, we just showed up. Why are the sisters here, Michelle?"
I'm 50. My wife she turns 52 on Friday.
Oh.
And these are the conversations we're starting to have. So I guess to sum up, JJ, is I feel a little guilt in the family. How can I make up for that? This past weekend, I took my son to Chicago. I do a daddy-daughter weekends with my individual, with Grace and Chloe. So I'm trying to find, while I don't have all the time in the world, I'm trying to find meaningful time, purposeful one-on-one time.
Yeah.
Expectations that they will do the same, though. Have you ever had the discussion to say to them, "I never want to go into a home," or is that they know?
I was trying to duck that question.
Come on.
Oh, I respect that.
I didn't realize that. If you don't want to answer, that's okay.
You don't have to answer it.
No, I'll answer it.
Yeah.
I have not.
Yeah. Something.
I've not had that conversation.
I understand.
And I think it's because of the guilt that I still carry.
Yeah.
I know.
I think, Ed, there's so many people who don't want to have the conversation for many reasons. And JJ and I we were just talking about it the other day. Here's a spoiler alert. JJ and Dexter don't have everything set up the way they need it to because Dexter's not ready to talk about it.
He's 65.
And I don't want to say he's decrepit, but it's fine. He's JJ's husband. But
he doesn't want to talk about the final wills, estates, or anything.
Doesn't want to talk about any of it. And whereas Jason and I'm like, I hit it head on. I'm like, because we don't have kids. And I'm like,
right.
we got to find other people's kids to help us because I've got to be a good aunt. I'm trying to woo my other nieces and my honorary godchildren. But I think those are important things to have those discussions sooner than later. Cause I'm going to tell you, when you get cancer at 55, you don't expect
Scary.
It is scary. And I think that's why we preach it over and over again to everybody, but just understand it's hard. It's not just easy. You just go and do it, because these are hard conversations because of our past experiences.
My wife and I, to your guys' point, we just started having these conversations. My view on life has always been earn, save, and invest. Yeah. And now you hit a different point with kids growing up, and we have new life insurance, setting up new will. Mm-hmm. We're in that process right now. And I don't know what your perspective is, but it takes a lot of time to get that done.
Yes, it does.
It takes a lot of mental energy too. I'm really thinking about this. Like, I'm thinking about ultimately my death.
And your mortality.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
that's right.
We're talking about death here, people. Yeah, ultimately, you're having to look forward in the sense of looking forward. Yeah. And we don't know. No day is guaranteed. But we talk about never aging, but, and that's why we're talking about let's age. Age well looks like there were 3 things. We were at a conference last week, Ed, and I think you guys align with this 100%. We know the importance of how the impact of isolation and how that impacts your overall health and wellness. We also know food and working out, food and fitness. So the fact when you said, I'm not going to not be healthy, because they talk about your chronological age. Most people are living to be in the US. Men, I believe, are 70 and they're 74, I believe is what it was. And women live to be 80 and give or take. But their health age stops at about 65. And that just means when they start feeling more aches and pains. Because I'm telling you right now, friend, I am feeling some aches and pains. But I'll start at 40. It's weird. So I think it sounds to me like you've taken the right steps, but there's still, you would acknowledge there's more to do.
There's more to do. My wife and I in May went to a longevity clinic. It was all day, 6 hours, just to figure out where are we physically, where are we mentally, and what's our path? What foods do we need to eat? Is everything, Natalie, that you just said. It's the good news for me is they said I have a 90% chance to achieve 90. So,
yes,
but it's caveated that you have to do all this. So I can't eat quite as much pizza or hamburgers as I want.
I got to get to that. We'll talk later about this longevity clinic. Okay,
I want to know about that too.
I know. So I know we've like tight on time. We've spent a lot of time with it.
That's okay. Don't worry.
But I had one more question, but I probably forgot it, Natalie. This was it's my whole menopause brain. You don't need to know that, Ed. But anyway, so here it is. You mentioned something earlier, and I want people to know about this. You said that sometimes you felt like you didn't do a great job. And there's so many of our listeners that say, I'm not doing a great job. I could have done better. Will you just tell me a little bit about that? The part being, what would you say to somebody out there today that says, I'm not doing a good job?
Throughout the entire process, I thought I failed. I thought I failed my mother. I thought I failed my father. I thought I was failing my sisters. And it was constant, no matter what I did. In my head, it was never enough. And I would stay reflecting on that. I wish I would have pulled up and asked for help.
Okay.
And it's interesting how I lead now. So I probably didn't answer your question right, Natalie, earlier, but that's probably the biggest lesson I had from that. And it plays out every day in work.
Yeah.
I ask for help all the time. Mm-hmm. I ask for help from my wife. I ask for help from my kids, my sisters. I ask for help with all my coworkers that, hey, I'm trying to achieve A, B, and C. I'm stuck on this. How would you think about it? I probably wouldn't have been open. I wouldn't have been as vulnerable without going through that experience. And JJ and Natalie, I don't know what you guys think, but every day I was in that, I felt like I was failing. Oh. Even on my mom's, the day she died, I felt like I was failing.
I feel you. I can tell you every day it felt like I didn't do something well enough. And here's the thing. I never saw the things I did well. I just saw the things like I didn't cook this meal, although everybody who knows me knows I don't cook. And trust me, my husband's a great cook. You're welcome to come up to Virginia. Everybody's welcome to come to Virginia. It's for lovers. But I focused on the wrong things. And you have to find those moments where there's glimmers, where exactly when you said you'd laugh with your mom, that touched my heart. In the moments that you said you sat by her bedside and she'd say something like, there's my mom.
Yeah.
There was a moment for me that I was like, Jason and I were just like everybody else sitting on the river. We were looking at the river at Roosevelt Island, and I felt like normal. I felt like everybody.
It is what I felt, because I know you guys are much more educated on this than I am. Is that common?
Oh, yeah. Every day.
Every day. And the days that I get calls from my mom, even it was last night, even I'll tell you that. Yet everybody knows that saliva is really excessive right now. It's overwhelming. And so she calls and she wants me to fix it, and I can't fix it. And I've called and talked to the doctor, but you take that with you. You go to sleep at night and I've failed that. Why can't I get that fixed? Is there another piece of another component? I'll share this with you. There's a fantastic new medicine out that's a step up from the Duopa pump. Well, now I'm trying to call the insurance companies because it's not approved. They haven't approved it yet. It hasn't passed. And you're like, I have to work harder. I'm failing at this. Why can't I figure it out? I need you to talk
Take a middle note.
to Medicaid. Or Medicare. Watch him. I want you to talk.
Yeah. I can make a phone call. What's going to do there for you, girl?
But I think everybody does. We hear that from so many people, because I think ultimately you want to heal that person. I think ultimately that's where your heart is. And if you can't heal them, then you've failed. And I think that's a big part of it. But I will say to you, that what you have done, if you were to just look at one person, that you changed us. Like that day that you helped me, and I don't want to get all teary. Monica knows your whole staff does, but you changed our lives with helping my mom. And your mom, you did something amazingly right. So you take that home with you.
Always take that home with you. Yeah, you did well.
We appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah, you did that.
Well, but you did well with your mom. And no matter for you and your siblings, no matter all the things that may have not gone the way that you had hoped it for, these siblings are here to say
you did a great job.
You did a great job.
Yeah,
you did a great job. So I'm gonna do the last question.
Oh yeah, it's a fun one.
It's totally fine, because you can tell I always talk the most.
Oh yeah.
And my question's always fun, and I had other questions, but I don't care, because this is my favorite question, and I want to be mindful of our time.
Yes.
So I always end the show with, tell me what your favorite guilty pleasure is. What is the one thing that you do just for you that brings you joy and makes you smile? What's the thing that you enjoy doing just for you?
That's a great question. And I probably have multiple guilty pleasures, but I love hamburgers.
Oh, whose? Where?
Okay.
So this weekend... So I actually, you watch Dave Portnoy, he does like the pizza tracker. I'm not a big pizza person.
Yeah.
But I monitor like the best hamburgers. So I'll send you guys a picture. We went to Au Cheval this weekend. They open up at 10 a.m. I got first in line at 9:02.
Nice.
To be first in, and I love a good hamburger. If you ever go to Chicago, West Loop, Au Cheval, it is amazing. So that's my guilty pleasure.
I'm not sure how that's going to go into your longevity class. We'll just leave it at
No,
that.
like limit that, sir, to one per month, maybe. Yeah.
I've eaten every night. I've had fish instead of a hamburger, but
Okay.
that was the day.
Oh, that's awesome. I love a good hamburger, but we're going to end it there, guys. Ed, thank you so much. You're so wonderful. You are officially our brother. We don't even have brothers, but you are officially a brother and sisters. You have no free will. And sorry, but thank you for being with us. We appreciate you more than you.
No problem.
You know it. Oh,
We'll
and JJ doesn't look good in that color orange, but we wear it.
We wear it.
Not everybody wear that orange. All right, guys. Jay, do you want to take us out?
Absolutely. Guys, until we confess again, we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.